The void whispered warnings long before the skies tore open. On the hive world of Vortigern Prime, billions toiled in ignorance, their lives a ceaseless grind beneath the Emperor's distant gaze. The spires of Hive Primus pierced the smog-choked atmosphere like jagged teeth, home to the noble houses who feasted on the labors of the Underhive scum. Governor Elias Thorn ruled from his gilded throne in the upper levels, his decrees enforced by arbits with bolt guns and unyielding faith. But faith, as the Imperium knew, was a fragile shield against the encroaching darkness. It began with whispers in the Underhive. Mutants stirred in the shadows, their twisted forms multiplying like a plague. Cults formed in the forgotten tunnels, chanting praises to entities that twisted reality itself. The Inquisition arrived unannounced, black-armored interrogators descending like vengeful angels. Inquisitor Valeria Kale, her face a mask of scars from battles against the arch-enemy, led the purge. "Heresy festers here," she declared to Thorn in his opulent chambers. "Your world is tainted." Thorn protested, his corpulent frame quivering with indignation. "My Lord Inquisitor, our tithes are paid, our regiments march for the Emperor. This is but a minor infestation." "Minor?" Kale's voice was a blade. She slammed a data slate onto his desk, holographic images flickering, Genstealer hybrids infiltrating the PDF barracks, chaos symbols etched into manufactorum walls. "The rot runs deep. Your planet is a breeding ground for damnation." As the purge intensified, the Underhive erupted in violence. Lasfire lit the darkness as loyalist enforcers clashed with cultists. Screams echoed through ventilation shafts, carrying the stench of blood and promethium. In the mid-hives, workers paused at their assembly lines, murmuring of omens. Blood rains in the lower levels, visions of demonic faces in the forge flames. The astropaths in the spire's vox towers wailed in unison, their minds assaulted by warp echoes. High above in the orbital docks, the Imperial Navy's battle group loomed. The Retribution-class battleship Emperor's Wrath hung like a sword of Damocles, its lance batteries silent for now. Captain Lucius Draven paced the bridge, his augmetic eye scanning Auspex readings. "Inquisitor Kyle signals the infestation is beyond containment," his Vox officer reported. "She invokes the ultimate sanction." Draven's jaw tightened. Exterminatus, the word was a death knell for worlds. He had witnessed it once before on Calathor 4, a planet reduced to ash to deny the orcs a foothold. Billions perished in holy fire. "Prepare the cyclonic torpedoes," he ordered, his voice steady despite the weight. "May the Emperor forgive us." Back on the surface, panic spread like wildfire. In Hive Secundus, a young hab worker named Mira clutched her infant son as alarms blared. "What's happening?" she cried to her husband Thomas, a forge laborer with soot-blackened hands. "The Vox says evacuation, but to where?" Thomas shook his head, eyes wide. "The nobles are fleeing to their shuttles. They say the Inquisition has damned us all." Riots broke out in the streets. Arbites fired into crowds, their shotguns barking righteous fury. In the upper spires, Thorn barricaded himself in his palace, surrounded by house guards. "This is madness," he bellowed into his personal vox. "I demand an audience with the Sector Lord." But the skies answered instead. Void shields shimmered as the first orbital bombardments began. Warning shots to clear the docks. Shuttles lifted off in droves, carrying the elite to dubious safety. The masses were left to fate. Inquisitor Kyle stood atop a spire balcony, her stormcoat whipping in the toxic winds. She gazed at the descending doom. "For the Emperor," she murmured, sealing the warrant with her rosette. the planet's death warrant. As the first torpedoes launched from the Emperor's wrath, the world held its breath. The missiles streaked through the atmosphere, their payloads designed to ignite the core itself. Impact tremors shook the hive's cracking adamantium foundations. Mira and Thomas fled through collapsing tunnels, the ground heaving beneath them. "Hold on!" Thomas shouted over the roar, but the end was inexorable. The narrative paused here, the doom unfolding in slow, merciless detail. The cyclonic torpedoes burrowed deep into Vortigern Prime's crust, their warheads detonating in synchronized fury. Seismic waves rippled outward, fracturing the planet's mantle like brittle ceramite. In Hive Primus, the lower levels collapsed first, vast underhive caverns imploding under the strain, burying millions in rubble and darkness. Screams were drowned by the thunderous cracks of splitting rock as entire districts vanished into chasms that belched toxic fumes. Mira stumbled through the chaos, her infant wailing against her chest. Thomas gripped her hand, pulling her through a service tunnel alive with fleeing refugees. "Keep moving," he urged, his voice hoarse from dust. Las beams flashed behind them as cultists, driven mad by the impending end, lashed out at the faithful. A hybrid abomination lunged from the shadows, its chitinous claws raking the air. Thomas fired his stub gun, the round punching through its skull in a spray of ichor. "Emperor, protect us," he muttered, but protection seemed a distant myth now. Above, in the mid-hives, manufactorums groaned as assembly lines halted. Workers, their faces etched with terror, abandoned their posts. "The world is ending," one shouted, pointing to fissures snaking across the ferrocrete floors. Promethium tanks ruptured, igniting infernos that swept through hab blocks. Flames licked at the heels of the desperate, turning escape routes into pyres. Arbit's enforcers, their armor cracking from the heat, held the line against looters, but even their discipline faltered as the ground bucked like a wounded beast. Governor Thorne's palace trembled, crystal chandeliers shattering on marble floors. His guards deserted, fleeing to phantom salvation. Alone in his throne room, Thorne clutched a reliquary containing a shard of the Emperor's armor. A forgery, perhaps, but his last hope. "I served loyally," he whimpered to the empty hall. A massive quake hurled him to the ground, and the ceiling caved in, entombing him beneath tons of opulent debris. From orbit, Captain Draven watched the Auspex hololiths paint a grim picture. Fractures spiderwebbed across the continents, magma welling up from the depths. "Secondary detonations confirmed," his tech adept intoned. "Binary can't," underscoring the finality. The Emperor's wrath unleashed virus bombs next, payloads dispersing flesh-eating contagions into the atmosphere. Those not crushed by the quakes would dissolve in agony, their bodies liquefying to deny the heretics any victory. Inquisitor Kale's Thunderhawk gunship rocketed toward the void, her retinue silent in prayer. She glanced back at the dying world, its surface glowing with volcanic fury. "A necessary sacrifice," she said, though doubt gnawed at her soul. How many innocents perished for the greater good? The Imperium demanded such calculus, cold and unyielding. In the underhive remnants, survivors clung to life amid the ruin. A group of miners barricaded themselves in a reinforced bunker, their vox crackling with fragmented broadcasts. "Exterminatus, all is lost." They shared meager rations, whispering litanies to stave off despair. But the air grew thin, poisoned by seeping gases. One by one, they succumbed, their final thoughts a plea for forgiveness. The planet's oceans boiled, steam clouds shrouding the carnage. Continental plates shifted, tsunamis of molten rocks swallowing coastal hives. Wildlife, twisted by pollution and warp taint, fled in vain. Feral grox herds stampeding into abysses, avian predators plummeting from poisoned skies. Aboard the retreating shuttles, the nobility stared in horror. Lady Alara Voss, heiress to a minor house, pressed her face to a porthole. "Our home," she breathed, tears streaking her powdered cheeks. Her entourage, a mix of sycophants and bodyguards, muttered accusations. Thorn's failure, one spat, the Inquisition's zeal. But blame mattered little now. Survival was their only creed. As the torpedo's effects cascaded, Vortigern Prime's core destabilized. Gravitic anomalies pulled debris into orbit, forming a nascent ring of shattered rock. The atmosphere ignited in places, auroras of plasma dancing across the poles. From afar, it was almost beautiful, a testament to the Imperium's wrath. Mira and Thomas reached a surface access hatch, bursting into the open air just as a fresh tremor split the ground. Ash fell like snow, choking the horizon. "Look!" Thomas pointed skyward where the battleship's silhouette loomed. But hope was illusion. No rescue came for the damned. The narrative hung on the precipice of total annihilation, the world's agony far from over. The virus bombs detonated high in the stratosphere, their payloads aerosolizing into a miasma of death. Billions of microscopic devourers spread on the winds, infiltrating lungs, skin, and wounds. In the open plazas of Hive Tertius, refugees gasped as their flesh began to slough away. Skin blistered and peeled, revealing raw muscle that dissolved into slurry. "Mercy!" a preacher cried from his pulpit, his robes melting with him. His congregation writhed, a sea of liquefying humanity, their prayers turning to gurgles. Mira collapsed against a ruined wall, her vision blurring from the acrid air. Tomas knelt beside her, coughing blood. "The child, save the child," he rasped, pressing the infant into her arms. But the babe's cries weakened, tiny body convulsing as the virus took hold. Mira wept, her tears mixing with dissolving flesh. "Why us? We were loyal." Around them, the infected staggered like zombies from ancient tales, collapsing into pools of organic ooze that seeped into the cracking earth. Orbital lance strikes followed, precise beams of energy lancing from the Emperor's wrath to vaporize key sites. The primary astropathic choir tower erupted in a pillar of plasma, silencing the warp screams forever. Cultist strongholds identified by Kale's agents were obliterated, their demonic altars reduced to slag. But the bombardments accelerated the planet's fracture. Tectonic plates ground against each other with apocalyptic force, birthing earthquakes that swallowed entire Hive sectors. In the void, Draven's bridge crew worked in grim silence. Core integrity failing, the Auspex officer reported. Estimated time to full destabilization, 30 minutes. Draven nodded, his mind on the after-action report. Exterminatus was a tool of last resort, its invocation a mark on one's soul. He had authorized the death of a world. Necessary, yes, but the ghosts of Vortigern Prime would haunt him. Fleeing shuttles docked with the battle group's transports, their passengers quarantined under the watchful eyes of medici teams. Lady Voss underwent decontamination, her jewels stripped away as servo skulls scanned for taint. "What of the survivors?" she demanded of a naval armsman. He shrugged, his face impassive behind a rebreather. "If any remain, they're as good as dead," the Inquisitor's orders. Below, pockets of resistance flickered. In a sealed bunker, a squad of PDF troopers fortified their position, their sergeant barking orders. "Hold the line. The Emperor will deliver us." They had sealed the vents against the virus, But the quakes breached their defenses. Walls crumpled, burying them alive. Elsewhere, a tech priest interfaced with a dying cogitator bank, uploading final data logs to an orbiting relay. Omnissiah, preserve the knowledge, he intoned, his mechadendrites sparking as the facility imploded. The magma surges intensified, rivers of molten rock bursting from fissures to engulf the ruins. Hab spires toppled like felled giants, crashing into neighboring structures in domino cascades. The air superheated, igniting spontaneous fires that consumed the remnants. Wildlife perished en masse, mutated rats dissolving in their warrens, feral humans in the wastes clawing at their melting eyes. Inquisitor Kyle reviewed holofeeds from her gunship, her expression stoic. A acolyte approached. "My lady, astropathic confirmation from Terra. Sanction approved retroactively." She waved him away. Approval was formality. The deed was done. Yet in her private quarters later, she would kneel before a shrine, seeking absolution for the billions damned. As the core breached, Vortigern Prime's gravity well fluctuated wildly. Debris fields expanded, posing hazards to the withdrawing fleet. "Evasive maneuvers," Draven commanded, the ship shuddering from gravitational shear. The planet bulged grotesquely, its equator swelling as internal pressures built. Mira, alone now, Tomas, a puddle at her feet, crawled toward a flickering lumen strip, the infant still in her arms. Delirium set in. Visions of golden light, perhaps the Emperor himself. "Take us," she whispered as the ground split beneath her. The cataclysm built to its crescendo, the world's final screams echoing into the void. The planet's core, now a maelstrom of unleashed energies, began its final convulsion. Vortigern Prime swelled like a bloated corpse, its surface fracturing into continent-sized shards that drifted apart on tides of magma. The atmosphere, thick with viral spores and ash, ignited in a global firestorm, superheating the air to incinerate anything exposed. Ghostly wails carried on the winds, not human cries, but the death throes of the warp-tainted. Demons banished as their anchors dissolved. In the void, the Imperial fleet maintained a vigilant perimeter. Scout frigates darted through the expanding debris field, their point defense turrets blazing to clear paths for the capital ships. Captain Draven stood on the bridge of the Emperor's Wrath, his hands clasped behind his back. "Status report," he demanded. The Auspex officer's voice trembled. "Planetary integrity at 0%. Fragmentation imminent." Hololiths displayed the horror in stark detail. Rivers of lava carving canyons through the hives, the once mighty spires, now skeletal ruins crumbling into the abyss. Survivors, if any could be called such, endured unimaginable torment. In a sealed vault deep beneath Hive Quartus, a cadre of adepts from the Administratum huddled around flickering data slates. They had barricaded themselves with purity seals and wards, but the virus seeped through micro cracks, gnawing at their flesh. "Record this," the senior clerk gasped, his skin bubbling. "For the archives. Vortigern Prime falls to preserve the Imperium." His subordinates nodded, their augmetics failing as the quakes intensified. The vault's walls buckled and darkness claimed them. Orbital remnants fared no better. A derelict space station, once a refueling depot, spun lazily amid the chaos. Its crew, abandoned in the haste of evacuation, watched the planet's demise through viewports. "It's beautiful," one voidsman murmured, madness in his eyes. "The Emperor's judgment." Explosive decompressions ripped through the hull as gravitational forces tore it asunder, venting them into the cold embrace of space. Inquisitor Kyle's gunship docked with a cruiser, her team disembarking in solemn procession. She reported to the fleet admiral via secure Vox. Exterminatus complete, no signs of residual taint. But in her heart, she knew the cost. Worlds like Vortigern were the Imperium's backbone. Lost, another crack in the edifice. She would hunt the source of the heresy, purging sectors if needed. But for now, reflection was a luxury denied. The nobility's shuttles, those that escaped, integrated into the fleet's refugee holds. Lady Voss mingled with other displaced elites, their finery tattered. "We must rebuild," she declared in a makeshift council. "Our bloodlines endure." Whispers of betrayal circulated. Who had failed to contain the rot? Accusations flew, sowing seeds for future intrigue. The Imperium's politics were as deadly as its wars. As the planet fragmented, massive chunks collided in slow-motion cataclysms, birthing fireballs that outshone the system's sun. The warp echoed with the psychic backlash, astropaths across the sector clutching their heads in pain. Demonic incursions spiked briefly on nearby worlds, inquisitorial teams mobilizing to stamp them out. From afar, the battle group observed the birth of an asteroid field, where a hive world once thrived. Navigational hazards would plague shipping lanes for centuries, a grim monument to vigilance. Draven ordered the fleet to depart, leaving servo skulls to monitor for any unnatural resurgence. The last echoes of life faded, Mira's final breath, a miner's choked prayer, a cultist's defiant curse, all swallowed by the void. Vortigern Prime was no more, its name struck from star charts, a cautionary tale etched in the annals of the Inquisition. Yet the destruction's ripples extended further, unseen forces stirring in response. In the aftermath, the void claimed Vortigern Prime's remnants, scattering them as dust across the stars. The Imperial fleet withdrew to the Mandeville Point, engines flaring as they prepared for warp translation. Captain Draven issued final orders. Mark the coordinates as prohibited. No salvage operations without inquisitorial clearance. His crew saluted, their faces etched with the solemnity of executioners. The battleship's chapels overflowed with penitents, confessing sins of omission in the face of such vast slaughter. Inquisitor Kyle, aboard her cruiser, pored over decrypted logs salvaged from the planet's final transmissions. Clues pointed to a greater conspiracy, a tendril of the Genestealer cults extending to neighboring systems, perhaps even a shadow of the Tyrannid hive fleets lurking in the galactic fringe. "This is not the end," she vowed to her interrogator chaplain. "We excise the tumor, but the body remains diseased." Her next destination, the Forge world of Hephaestus 9, where whispers of similar taint had emerged. The cycle of vigilance continued, unending in the grim darkness. The refugees, crammed into the bowels of transport vessels, faced an uncertain future. Lady Voss rallied her peers, forging alliances amid the squalor. "We are the Imperium's blood," she proclaimed in hushed meetings. "From these ashes we rise." But many broke under the strain. Nobles reduced to begging for rations, their status meaningless in the exodus. Disease spread in the holds, medici struggling against outbreaks that mirrored the virus bomb's legacy. Purges followed, the weak culled to preserve the strong. Across the sector, news of Vortigern's fall rippled through astropathic relays. Governors tightened security, PDF forces drilling relentlessly against imagined threats. On agri-worlds and shrine planets, preachers thundered sermons on the perils of heresy, their words fueling recruitment drives for the Astra Militarum. "See what befalls the faithless," they cried from pulpits adorned with Aquilas. Tithes increased, resources funneled to the war machine, as the Imperium girded for endless conflict. In the warp, the souls of the slain churned in turmoil. Billions of psychic echoes fed the immaterium storms, birthing minor demons that clawed at reality's veil. Navigators aboard passing ships shuddered, charting detours around the psychic scar. A wound in the ether, one muttered, his third eye weeping. Such was the price of Exterminatus, not just planetary death, but a lingering curse upon the stars. Years later, scavengers would skirt the debris field, whispering tales of haunted asteroids where ghostly apparitions manifested. Rogue traders spoke of cursed artifacts recovered from the rubble, bringing doom to their bearers. The Inquisition monitored these rumors, ever watchful for resurgence. Thus ended Vortigern Prime, a footnote in the Emperor's Grand Crusade. In the 41st millennium, worlds burned daily to stem the tide of darkness. Loyalty demanded sacrifice, survival, ruthlessness. For in the grim, dark future, there is only war and the cold calculus of extinction. If you're captivated by these grimdark tales from the Warhammer 40K universe, filled with epic destruction and unyielding imperial wrath, show your support by hitting that like button and subscribing to the channel for more immersive stories. And if there's a specific Warhammer lore or scenario you'd love to hear narrated in this style, drop it in the comments below. I'll be checking them out.